I hear what I say. We wish you a Merry Christmas to each all of you, one of you.
What's up, everyone? Marc Lobliner, TigerFitness.com, driving to Cincinnati. We got we got some business stuff to do, and also have our company Christmas party. Can't wait for that. Anyway, I wanted to kind of, I actually saw Van do a video on this, and guys, if you guys aren't subscribed to Van's channel, Bro Fitness channel, YouTube.com/Bro Fitness channel, please go ahead and subscribe to that. You'll enjoy it. It's phenomenal. I love that word. Anyway, carb sources. What are they? What do they matter? How do you use them? Are there health ramifications? Uh-oh, Chippy, I'm still in California mode, state police. Are there ramifications for eating the wrong types of carbs? Are there diet carbs and bulking carbs? Oh, what a great time to talk about it when I'm driving for 8 hours. I've been giving this a lot of thought, and I've gone through a lot of different phases in my thinking on carbohydrate intake, and diet. And another thing to look at is individuality. Now, let's first delve into amount of carbohydrates. All right, hold on. Bro jug. Amount of carbohydrates. Okay? Now that's very dependent on the individual. For example, my brother, we started him out with about 300 grams of carbs per day when he was dieting for his show. That was at about 12 weeks out. At the end, he was still at 120 to 240 with about a gram of protein per pound of body weight. So his protein was in the around 200, and his fat was, I think it was at 60 grams a day, so it wasn't very low. And that's with diabetic exchange. So all those numbers are a bit higher. The diabetic exchange is where you round up. For example, chicken breast, you don't count the fat in it. For example, in a bagel, you wouldn't count the carbs and the protein in it. You just count the fat and the protein in it. You just count the carbs. Now, for a lot of people, they might have to go no carb. Now, I will say that there's more carb flexibility the higher your calories go. Another example, I know a lot of people who, their calories are extremely low, so what you want to do with carbohydrate then is you want to choose something more satiating, which will also be a whole food micronutrient dense carb. Micronutrient dense meaning that it is full of minerals, vitamins, antioxidants, and all that good stuff. So rather than going for a pastry, you would go for oatmeal, sweet potato, something like that, which is, because of the micronutrient inclusion, because it's so rich in micronutrients, it will be, I would argue, better for you overall. Now, when dieting for a show, let's be real, you're measuring every gram, and with the IIFYM, if it fits your macros, I think even when you're doing that, sticking to mostly whole natural food sources that are high in micronutrients are the best. Will you lose fat if the calories at the end of the day and the macronutrients are equal, regardless of food choice? I believe it'll be very similar, if not the same, whether you're eating pastries and protein powder versus chicken and rice. Now, there's a huge, debate, dilemma over bro foods. Now, I was asked before in a different thread on Facebook what a bro food is. Bro foods historically have been, basically bodybuilding foods, what they were originally called. My buddy Jared actually brought that up, is where you got your chicken and your lean beef and, your rice, your brown rice, your sweet potatoes, your even baked potato. Foods like that are bland and pretty straightforward on their nutrients. There's no processed ingredients in there, and nothing of that nature. Now, when I diet for a show, and I can be a bit different than everybody else, I still like to keep things as whole as possible. Even though I'm working with John, and he allows flexibility on John Otis Hollywood. He allows flexibility on what you're allowed to eat. He just gives a set of numbers. We did go over a list of foods that he likes as well as I like, to diet with. Now, on that list was sweet potatoes, oatmeal, chicken, fish, things like that. And those are what I prefer to diet on. Now, I believe a lot of health issues in this country can be prevented with high antioxidant and high micronutrient intake. You can't overdose on kale, on the nutrients in kale. You can't overdose on the potassium in sweet potatoes, even though it's extremely high, because the fact it comes from whole foods. Yeah, there is some toxicity effects with some foods and nutrients, but I'm talking for the most part, you can eat the hell out of yams to fill your macronutrients, and it's not going to hurt you at all. In fact, the beneficial properties of the micronutrients in the sweet potatoes will help you. And I do believe that they do aid in fat loss. There was a study done a while ago on blueberries. They had one group that consumed blueberries without fat, one group that that actually didn't consume blueberries, and one group that consumed blueberries with a fat source. So there were three groups. Nothing, blueberries, blueberries with fat source. Okay, the blueberries with a fat source, they were combined with a whole food meal, insulin was accounted for, lost more fat. Why is that? They thought it is the antioxidant and high ORAC value in the blueberries that cause fat loss. And that's one reason why I have a high ORAC compound in drop factor, my fat burner, because there's enough data to give me the idea that it might actually help you with fat loss when your diet is controlled and insulin is controlled. That's another thing. I mean, I am extremely insulin sensitive, extremely. You guys have seen my carb intake. So, you know, if I was to eat all simple carbs, man, I'd be asleep. You know, I'd be sleeping through the day. So that's another thing to take into consideration. And if you only have 60 to 120 grams of carbs, you get a lot more bang for your buck out of a nice big steaming piping hot bowl of oats than a pastry, which let's just bring up Pop-Tarts because that's the one everybody uses. For 2 Pop-Tarts, you're looking at 80 grams of carbs. And that's not as satiating as 120 grams of carbs from oatmeal. You see what I'm saying? So carb sources, do they matter in overall fat loss? No. But if trying to lead an overall healthy life, one filled with micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, and all that good stuff, then yes, I would recommend getting your carbohydrates from whole, unprocessed foods, high in fiber, versus getting them from processed foods, so-called man-made foods. Look, I'm not going to go all wacky on you. I'm not going to say that unless it's organic and, you know, your corn was raised on a field in Nebraska by Amish people, if there are Amish people in Nebraska. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not going to go all full moron on you, not at all. What I am going to say is that when you can, get in whole natural food sources. Now, with that being said, some travel carbs. A good Jew always carries a bag of bagels with him. Got to get my macros in somehow. And of course I got Core MRP along with MTS Nutrition Whey, which fell on the floor over there. Core MRP, which actually has pro carbs in it, the oat flour and the barley, which will have that slower digestion rate, is full of fiber, and is good stuff. So the key is, depending on your carb intake, get as much of you as you can from whole natural foods. But by all means, if you can fit in your macros set for the day, it's a lot of things. A lot of people watching this probably don't even know what their macros are for the day. You know, I'll get in that in a second. But the thing is, you know, if you can fit in whole, good foods, and you could enjoy them, they're palatable to you, by all means do it. But if you feel like something and it fits in your macros, you know, rock it out. Here's another thing. I had to do a peck pop on this. Here's another thing. A lot of people send me, you know, I'm trying to lose weight, this and that. They have their food sources written down for the day with no measurements or nothing. Guys, unless you measure your macronutrients, it really doesn't matter that much. You really need to start measuring that so you know where to cut or increase calories, whether trying to bulk or cut. But that's a whole nother video. Thanks for watching. Marc Lobliner, TigerFitness.com. Peace out.
As I sit around by the fireplace, watching a gleaming tree. If I had one wish